Hi, I'm DK. A turn-based game is one in which players control the action in turn. At a glance, it's a direct opposite of real-time strategy games, which let players and AI move at the same time without interfering with one another. Turn-based games are a lot of fun and usually demand a greater sense of urgency, particularly when you have a limited time to make movements while the game is still in progress. Even though most turn-based games are available on PCs, the PlayStation Store does have some choices. One example of a game in this genre is Baldur's Gate 3, which is coming to the PlayStation 5 console on September 6. With that said, here are the amazing 11 turn-based PlayStation 5 games. Please also consider subscribing to our channel to join us in exploring the vast world of gaming. Enjoy! The Hand of Merlin is a turn-based game with RPG and roguelite elements. You set out on a voyage through dimensions after assembling a 4-member squad going through several worlds like Jerusalem, Al-Andalus, and Albion. Your goal is to find fragments of your soul and stop these worlds from being destroyed. Each member of your team has unique skills and abilities that can be improved as the game goes on. If every member of your team perishes, the game will be restarted because of the permadeath mechanic. You fight human and demonic enemies in turn-based combat while you explore the map in its detailed medieval setting. You will need powerful attacks to prevail in these battles. Fortunately, the game gives you access to powerful spells that can unleash a lightning storm on your enemies and weapons like King Arthur's sword. The Hand of Merlin is a gorgeous combo of Arthurian lore and cosmic horror. Fans of turn-based strategy will enjoy its decision-based gameplay and roguelite structure. Initially released in 2020 for the PS4 and 2021 for the PS5, Port Royale 4 was published by Calypso Media. Before the release of the fourth installment, Port Royale games tended to focus on real-time strategy. The change to turn-based battles was an unprecedented turnaround for the developers and a successful one. In the business simulation Port Royale 4, players build and manage an empire in the Caribbean during the swashbuckling pirate era of the 17th century. Players also take part in a conflict between France, Spain, England, and the Netherlands for supremacy. You take on the role of a young captain who wants to conquer these areas by creating a business empire spanning multiple islands. To do this, he must navigate through intricate trade networks, build them, and close profitable deals in various Caribbean ports. There are many activities to do, like acting as a privateer for colonial powers, doing business with other cities, seizing towns, and building trade ports in them, balancing expenditure, providing safe sea routes for shipments, and generating successful investments. An original and immersive single-player turn-based RPG is called Ruined King, a League of Legends story. It is a follow-up to the Battle Arena game League of Legends from 2009, which Riot Forge released in 2021. You explore the thriving pirate city of Bilgewater and the mysterious cursed Shadow Isles, which is home to the evil Force Blacksmith. Your mission is to lead a party of 6 people on an adventure to learn the mysteries of the Black Mist. The game is viewed from a top-down perspective. The surroundings transform into a turn-based battlefield when you encounter enemies, where you attack your enemies and wait for a turn to execute another action. The initiative bar mechanism is used by this turn-based RPG to show the fighting order during battles. Each ability is a different time option that the characters can use. You can also choose between a strong move that will take some time to execute and one that is weaker which can be executed more quickly. It takes a lot of planning and strategy to win the game, but if you ever find it too challenging or confusing, there is a tutorial to guide you. Disciples Liberation is another fantasy-themed turn-based adventure game by Calypso Media. The adventure game takes you to the dark but fantastic world of Nibindar. You take on the role of Abiana. She makes an effort to free this world where every decision has repercussions. Abby must travel around this land and its various regions to accomplish her goal, engage with the local populace, and learn about the country's endless dark secrets. She will form ties with several factions, including armies of the undead ruled by the Range Queen or a human empire run by zealots. There are numerous missions and side quests to complete and various areas to explore. Tasks can be discovered in the game's map or given to you by allies. You receive valuable resources for doing these tasks. Even while Abiana has a lot of potential to grow and is pretty powerful, freeing Nibandar cannot be accomplished by one person. She needs to put together a team of fighters who can engage in turn-based battles with brutal beasts and monsters. However, defeating bosses requires a more strategic and tactical approach. In 2021, Snapshot Games released Phoenix Point Behemoth Edition for the PS5, which included 4 DLC expansions. The game takes place in 2046 after a loose virus has altered much of human life and transformed both humans and animals into horrifying mutants like giant crabs. The remainder of humanity that has survived lives in safe havens that are governed by competing factions and must continuously battle monsters for survival. A covert organization known as Phoenix Project must take action to stop the invasion of mutating creatures that have taken over the Earth and eradicate the threat. This corporation is the last hope for humanity, and it is up to you to lead it by managing its research, development, and resources while also building bases and exploring a devastated planet. On a variety of missions, you will fight on dynamically generated battlefields in turn-based battles. Battles are particularly distinct because of elements that lets you use a jetpack to fly over structures, attack specific body parts, fire missile launchers, and change the size of your Overwatch cone. Nexomon Extinction is an excellent sequel to the first game and was published by P-Cube. The game is set in a world where tyrannical Nexomon creatures rule. Although humans have discovered a method to tame some of these creatures and employ them in battle, the Nexomons are committed to eradicating the human race. You play an orphan who has reached the legal age to tame his first Nexomon. There are more than 380 Nexomons in the world that you can capture and train. Each Nexomon has its unique skills and abilities, and is descended from one of the 9 elemental types. You will fight wild Nexomons and other tamers in turn-based battles in the game. In addition to battles, NPCs will give you tasks to fulfill. As you advance, you'll run into many varieties of these creatures and add a lot more powerful ones to your collection. They get even more powerful with training, and while you travel, you'll come across items that will hasten the evolution of your tamed creatures. Published by Modus Games, Cris Tales is a turn-based role-playing game. The game displays on the screen is divided into 3 time frames: past, present, and future. On the left, the past is a constant that cannot be changed. You can only draw lessons from it. The game's major focus is on the present, where you can put what you've learned from the past to use and influence the future, which is on the right side of the screen. The main character is a young orphan named Cris Bell, who sets out on a quest to use her time magic powers after learning that she possesses them. With the assistance of Matchas, a talking frog, she completes several missions on her adventure. She can time leap in these missions, both during conflicts and on the world map. The turn-based combat allows you to send enemies to the past or future, which, depending on the circumstances, may be advantageous to you or disadvantageous. Beautiful animated characters, clever use of the time mechanics, and a soundtrack that supports credible voice acting can all be found in Cris Tales. With the introduction of Ichiban Kasuga as the new main character in Yakuza Like a Dragon, Kazuma carries a story as the series' prior protagonist comes to an end. The action of the game begins in a fictitious Tokyo neighborhood of Kamurocho, where the main character is employed as a low-level gangster. Ichiban, or at least how he used to be, is too nice to be a Yakuza gangster. He unwittingly does things such as letting debtors off the hook that enrage his clan boss. Thankfully, the boss considers him a son, and Ichiban is devoted to him. However, his loyalty results in an 18-year prison sentence. When Ichiban is finally released from prison, he discovers that Kamurocho has changed. He finds himself in Yokohama, where he creates his squad, having nowhere else to go. You participate in side quests, mini-games, missions, and turn-based battles. The jobs you and your team members select affect the fighting styles you use, which are quite creative. With a strong emphasis on its characters and an intricate conclusion typical of Yakuza games, Like a Dragon is a game worth a try. In 2021, The Villagers and eHome Entertainment published the game Dungeons of Naheulbeuk, The Amulet of Chaos for the PS4 and PS5. It is based on a collection of French audiobooks. The story of the game is set in a medieval fantasy world. You are in charge of a group of formulaic and archetypal heroes on a quest to obtain the final gladiator statue from a dungeon. There is some humor in this game. No one is more clumsy in battle than the heroes who typically can stand one another. Speaking of battles, you engage enemies like evil dwarfs, the undead, bandits, and spiders in turn-based combat. The characters you control during these strategic fights each have unique skills that you can hone as you uncover the mysteries of the enormous and mysterious dungeon. The game has stylized and precise animations, lovely comical visuals, a creative combat system, and substantial replay value. In the tactical role-playing game, Fuga Melodies of Steel, you command a group of teenage soldiers as they use a massive tank to defend their homeland from invaders. CyberConnect 2 published the game in 2021. The port game in the Little Tale Bronx series. 11 young survivors were able to flee their village despite the Burman Empire attacking and destroying it. They seek shelter in a mountain cave where they discovered the Tyrannis, an enormous historic war tank. They board it and embark on a rescue mission determined to save their parents. Tyrannis is a super machine equipped with a powerful soul cannon blaster that can eliminate any enemy in a single strike. However, using this weapon requires the sacrifice of a human being. As suggested by its name, you must feed it the soul of one of the kids to power it up. The battles in Melodies of Steel are turn-based, and by using the proper weapon strategy, you can stall an enemy's turn. Additionally, the kids have a combo move known as link abilities that may be executed by two friendly kids who get along well. Persona 5 is a role-playing video game published by Atlus in 2016. After the game's initial favorable reviews and commercial success, Persona 5 Royale, the game's definitive edition, was published 3 years later with new content, characters, endings, an expanded soundtrack, a new location to explore, and combat system improvements. Persona 5 Royale maintained the turn-based combat system from the original despite the changes to the battle system. Turn-based combat in this game is fantastic because it balances the proper amount of automation with active participation. In this way, you can still enjoy the game's plot and other gameplay mechanics, even if you're not a huge fan of turn-based games. In the gaming community, Persona 5 has gained a lot of respect. It is regarded as one of the greatest role-playing video games of all time and one of the best turn-based PS5 games available. That brings us to the end of today's episode. Check out our other videos for more gaming content and recommendations. Happy gaming!